Raptors fans were expecting a massive leap from Scottie Barnes in his second NBA season, but were ultimately let down by his performances. So, is it right for fans once again to be expecting a huge jump to come as he heads into his third season? Let's get into it. Welcome everybody to Amateur Hour Sports, the YouTube channel dedicated to Toronto Raptors content. Make sure to drop a like and hit that subscribe button for more Raptors content just like this, and help us on the road to 16,000 subscribers. And when it comes to the Toronto Raptors, there is absolutely no debate on who the best player on the team is. At least there shouldn't be a debate as to who the best player on the team is. It is clearly Pascal Siakam, two-time All-Star, two-time All-NBA, an MIP, NBA champion. This is the best player on the Toronto Raptors. No debate whatsoever. But when it comes to fans deciding who the franchise cornerstone and who the face of the franchise is, that is when some debate can start to settle in, because even though it is very clear that Pascal Siakam is the best player on this team, we need to have a little bit more clarity into the franchise's face, because oftentimes people will consider that to be Scottie Barnes. So why is that the case where Scottie Barnes, who is the inferior player to Pascal Siakam, is given this credit as the franchise cornerstone? Well, I think that comes with more so the expectations put on the player. And of course, there are going to be those massive expectations on a player who won the Rookie of the Year. After Scottie Barnes was excellent in his rookie season with the Toronto Raptors after being drafted 4th overall, and that draft pick was met with a bit of ridicule. And I myself certainly was not expecting the Raptors to draft Scottie Barnes 4th overall, nor did I want them to draft Scottie Barnes particularly 4th overall. I was open to the idea of the draft pick, putting my backing in the front office, and that paid dividends. Scottie Barnes was amazing again, winning that 2022 Rookie of the Year award ahead of some outstanding players in his draft class like Evan Mobley and like Cade Cunningham. But with that award comes once again that expectation. And with that expectation comes a lot of pressure and a lot of weight on that player's shoulders. And with the weight of the world on his shoulders going into his second season, not only with those expectations on himself to follow up that Rookie of the Year season and be even better than the Rookie of the Year season, there was also the added expectations on the Toronto Raptors in particular, who had just won 48 games and finished as the 5th seed in the Eastern Conference. Well, neither of the parties failed to really deliver based on those expectations. Scottie Barnes himself had a fine second season, but in contrast to the expectations that were set for him, those sky-high expectations that really, he deserved those sky-high expectations based on his rookie season, he definitely fell short. If we investigate specifically the statistical performance based on his first season compared to his second season, people consider this more of a plateau, but you could even call it a little bit of a downgrade in overall performance. Scottie Barnes did not improve in the points per game department despite shooting more often, getting the ball more often, and that was largely down to the efficiency which dropped. Along with what else dropped, it was the rebounds that dropped from 7.5 down to 6.6. The only thing that really increased in one of the main statistical categories was the assists per game. Barnes with the ball in his hands a little bit more often on the perimeter, with a lot more time on the perimeter than maybe he was used to, but he went up from 3.5 assists to a nice jump of 4.8 assists, and once again, the efficiency was really concerning. I mean, Scottie Barnes, when he came into his first NBA season, we weren't really expecting anything from the player. We were expecting a raw talent that the Raptors really needed to work on to shape and to mold to get to the next level, but he was already at the NBA level very clearly, and he averaged just under 50% shooting from the field at 49.2%, dropped all the way down to 46.5%, and even though usage goes up, shot amount goes up, you don't want to see that sharp of a decrease, and we saw another decrease in three-point percentage, and that was really concerning because we want Scottie Barnes to continue to evolve and develop his three-point game, and though he was one of the most open players in the NBA this season, he still struggled to find the twine, only shooting 28% from 3 despite shooting 30% the season before. We went into that rookie season saying, he's not going to be able to shoot at all, so 30% was a very welcome surprise, but once we start to see it, the expectations start to settle in of you being a player with the ability to get to the next level. And we were expecting him to get to that next level last season, help propel this team to maybe an even better season than 48 wins, but obviously that wasn't the case. The Raptors really slumped last season, especially from the start of the season, and had a 41-41 record. This was the second time in a 10-year span that the Raptors failed to achieve a winning record, and the only other time was in the Tampa season where well, when you play every single game away from home, you have a little bit more of an excuse. But when that's not the case, hey, there's expectations there. Fans expect that team and the player to meet those expectations. For Scottie Barnes, replicating his rookie season more or less was okay, fine. But it's just those expectations are there to thrive even further. So, as we head now into his third NBA season, I don't want to feel like I'm bashing Scottie Barnes here. I have belief in this player, and I have those sky-high expectations of player. It's a testament to how much I like and trust a player that those expectations were there. And maybe if it sounds like I'm bashing him, that is not the case. So what is Scottie Barnes going to have to do to reach those heights in his third NBA season? Well, for starters, there needs to be a lot of work that goes into his game in the offseason, because it felt like from year one to year two, and based on the comments from some of his teammates, particularly ex-teammate Fred VanVleet, particularly ex-head coach Nick Nurse, I wouldn't say they're fired for these comments. It's just something they said shortly before they departed away from the team. But what I got from some press conferences was that Scottie Barnes, it felt like the team had those high expectations for him as well and wanted him to work maybe a little bit harder to get to those next levels. And perhaps the motivation of not really performing to even Scottie Barnes, I'm sure, feels as though he could have been better in the second season. That should be a motivating factor. But another very big motivational tool for Scottie Barnes in this offseason should probably be the fact that he has not taken part in any Team USA camp. He did not make the Team USA team that's going to the FIBA World Cup, and the Team USA plays against a select Team USA of younger players, inferior players who perhaps couldn't make the actual Team USA roster. Those players get to play against them. They get to work in the development camps. It's a great way to develop. Scottie Barnes has not taken part with either of these teams. And though it is not specifically clear if Barnes was maybe offered a spot in either of them and just declined and wanted to work in his own game, I would find that maybe a little bit surprising, but it's got to be a little bit of a motivational tool that he did not take part in this, especially if he was not invited. Now, I will make sure you guys understand it's not just Scottie Barnes that was omitted. Other top names like Evan Mobley and Tyrese Maxey are also not taking part in any way whatsoever in these camps, but that's still got to be a bit of a motivational tool for Scottie Barnes on a personal level that he should use as fuel for the upcoming season. Now, as for the upcoming season, what makes it a little bit difficult to work in your game, Scottie Barnes wants to be that Swiss Army knife sort of player where he can do it all, and that's a great thing, especially for a player that you want to become a franchise player, like not just by the label, but by being the best player undoubtedly on this team as well. It becomes a little bit tricky when you don't quite understand your role for the upcoming season. There's debates as to whether or not Scottie Barnes is going to be the starting point guard on the team. Even Raptors fans are very divided. Is it going to be Dennis Schroeder starting for this team? Is it going to be Scottie Barnes starting this team in the point guard position specifically? Whether or not Scottie Barnes is specifically starting as the point guard, he is going to be getting a lot more ball handling reps, and that needs to be an area of focus for the player. Needs to find a way to be able to create advantages against his opponents that will open up opportunities for his teammates. More importantly, that is going to open up opportunities for himself, because Scottie Barnes as an offensive initiator is unbelievable in the full court because he's such great vision, such a great passer, moves so well, is so big and so athletic for his size. But in the half court, the ball handling can let him down a little bit. So we're going to see a lot more high pick and rolls to give him a runway just to draw in defenders, but you're going to need players to actually commit to those drives and help off of those pick and rolls to be able to find those open players for those drive and kick opportunities. Also, he's going to be able to need to score out of these possessions, so he needs to work on a little bit more counters, and that's really what let him down mostly this season, because clearly, at the start of the season, the Raptors were content to give Scottie Barnes as many reps as possible, give him more reps to get him more opportunities to score, particularly in isolation, which he wasn't really equipped to do. The scouting report was out from his rookie season. They knew what Scottie Barnes wanted to do, and when they took away Scottie Barnes' plan A, well, there was no plan B to resort to. Now, Scottie Barnes understands this. He needs to be working on his plan B, plan C, plan D, etc. Sort of the same way Scottie Barnes slumped in his second season, his sophomore season, a sophomore slump, if you will. We saw the same sort of traits with Jason Tatum in his second season. Now, I'm not likening Scottie Barnes quite yet to Jason Tatum. Perhaps he can get to that level. I don't know. But Jason Tatum in his second season reverted a lot to mid-range shooting and reverted a lot to some poor shooting antics, which once those cleaned up, he became the superstar player that he is today. That's sort of the trend that I saw with Scottie Barnes in his second season, so he needs to work on those counters. But more specifically, what I want to see him work on in the offseason is just Scottie Barnes. not the most skilled player. Like, let's be honest with ourselves. He's not the most skilled player. A very talented player nonetheless, but has so many different tools. One thing that really separates him from the rest, and we saw that in his rookie season in particular, is his motor, is his energy. And he needs to have tip-top conditioning to be able to execute all that on the offensive end, but also with his size, his frame, his long wingspan, his big hands. He needs to be able to be a great defender as well. So he needs to be able to bring that motor to the defensive end as well, which in his second season, like, honestly, the defense was one of the more disappointing parts of his game. But I know he can be so much better than that, and I think conditioning is going to play a part in that, because for the player that not only fans want him to be, maybe I want him to be, I think Scottie Barnes, for the way he wants to play consistently for 35 to 38 minutes, he needs to have that extra bit of conditioning. So I'm sure all of these things are being worked on. I like that he's kind of working in silence right now, and maybe we'll see closer to the start of the season just what he's been working on. But with the last season, I mean, he struggled in preseason. We had our concerns. He came out of the gate slow in the NBA, and that just went all along throughout the season. So I want to see him come out fiery this season, come out hot in preseason, really get the confidence up, and go into the NBA season already moving, get a running start into the NBA season. Because for Scottie Barnes, the keys to the franchise are going to be his. The fate of the franchise is in his hands, whether or not we're in a winning direction or a losing direction. If we're in a direction that is set on winning games, then Scottie Barnes needs to be the co-star for Pascal Siakam. If Pascal Siakam is here, we want to win games. Scottie Barnes needs to elevate to be the co-star that Pascal Siakam has been missing. Better yet, Scottie Barnes needs to get to a point where Pascal Siakam is his co-star, and that would make this team outstanding. But also, if we go into a different direction and Pascal Siakam is moved, I mean, there's all these trade rumors going on, then Scottie Barnes, even more pressure goes on him, as he is really the face of the franchise, and he is really undoubtedly the best player on the team. At least that would be the expectation for the player if he is given all of those extra additional touches. Now, what's going to help? Again, the efficiency needs to improve. He needs defenders to actually care about guarding him on the outside. How he can do that? He's got to start knocking down some shots. Can we get that three-point percentage up to 33? I'm not asking for the world here. 33%, we definitely can. Can we improve on the interior, the post game? Can we improve on adding counters to his drives to get him up to 50% from the field? Absolutely we can. Just by cleaning up the efficiency, we can add in 2 or 3 more points. When you add in the efficiency, when you add in the counters, you get fouled more often, you go to the line more often, we can add in a point or 2 over there. There's no reason why Scottie Barnes can't get to 18, 19, 20 points per game. Add in, if he's getting more ball handling reps, up to 6 assists. Get back up to 7+ rebounds and be a 19.7 rebound, 6 assist player, shooting 50% from the field, 33% from 3. The only thing that is going to stop Scottie Barnes from achieving these outstanding levels, especially with a new coach in town, is going to be himself. If he's putting in the work, Scottie Barnes is still going to be a special player. I am once again going to expect that jump to come this season, and fans are right to expect that, because when you are a player that is as good as Scottie Barnes, you are met with the expectations that you are going to be great. So go and be great for. What do you guys make of this video? What do you think Scottie Barnes is going to achieve in his 3rd NBA seasons? Put your predicted stat line in the comments down below, and I'll see you again next time for another video here on Amateur Sports. Drop a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe for more content just like this.